Joining us now is Executive Director of the Aspen Strategy Group. That's Anja Manuel. The Aspen Security Forum, by the way, it's going to be held this July in Aspen, Colorado. Anja, welcome. I'd like to get your reaction to these tariff exemptions. What do you make of it? And is President Trump blinking first as China's President Xi appears to refuse to back down?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Alex. I'm happy to be on the program. Look, I welcome these tariff exemptions. I wish it weren't happening in this way, where individual industries are going in and lobbying one by one. I wouldn't call it blinking first. I would say perhaps some sanity is returning to our tariff policy. I do think it was very welcome that there's a pause on what's happening with our friends and allies. On the U.S. China, though, this is as precarious as I've ever seen U.S. China relations. And these tariffs that you're seeing put on China and the tit-for-tat is about as extreme as what you saw the Roosevelt administration do with Imperial Japan in the 1940s. So we're really in a tough spot in U.S.-China relations.
Wow. Donald Trump says that he's waiting for President Xi to call him to de-escalate this trade war. Xi has not called yet, saying his country will maintain its resolve and focus on its own path. So some in China are even making memes about this dispute. Are these exemptions, Anja, the start of an off-ramp for the two leaders, which could de-escalate things without damaging their own domestic agendas?
I hope so. We desperately need an off-ramp. And one of the things you haven't seen in this administration that you've seen in every previous one, including Biden and Trump's first administration, is having a senior official in the U.S. with a parallel senior official in China who talk to each other all the time to avoid misunderstandings. So far, we haven't seen that here. That's highly necessary to create an off-ramp.
So if no one backs down, how high could tariffs realistically go? I'm not trying to, throw cold water on what you just said, but how far is too far before it becomes unsustainable?
I think we're too far already. Look, we're in a pretty dark place with the tit for tat. And I would just tell you, if you look at who's harmed more, the Chinese economy is actually less and less dependent on American exports. In 2018, when the first trade war started, about 20% of China's exports went to the U.S. Now it's less than 13%. The U.S., by contrast, is dependent not just on Chinese manufactured exports, but also all of those ingredients or semi-manufactured or raw materials that go into things that we manufacture here or elsewhere. Not to mention our farmers are harmed. So I think ultimately Xi Jinping is in a much stronger place than even he was 5 or 6 years ago to wade this trade war out. But let me leave you with one positive thing, Alex, and that is you can imagine a positive scenario here where the United States negotiates very quickly with our friends and allies, gets off the ledge of this trade war, and then jointly with the Europeans, with the Japanese, with the Koreans, with the Indians, we say to China, look, you have been unfair in the world trading system. You're stealing our IP. You have unfair subsidies. Let's all work together to make the system more fair. That is the most positive scenario I can envision. I hope it's likely.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have to take a look at these two graphics that I saw, which really put into effect what you've been saying. It's a significant shift in global trade since 2000, when the U.S. was the largest trade partner for most countries worldwide. 2024 calculations measured huge growth in the shift toward China. I mean, how can the U.S. address an export-focused economy like China's?
Yeah, this is a really important chart because while we in the United States are becoming more and more protectionist, frankly, both on the far right and on the far left, China continues to trade and to export. And so they are the largest trading partner of, I think, something like 130 countries around the world, which is what your chart shows. That doesn't mean they're trading fairly with all those countries. And a lot of countries that are not the United States have grievances with the Chinese. So what I outlined in my wishful thinking scenario is something that would really help not just the U.S., but all of those other trading partners of China.
Okay. How hopeful are you, just in a quick 15 seconds, that things are going to just calm down and, as you say, return to sane proportions?
Hope springs eternal. I mean, we have seen the ball bouncing like crazy. The volatility has been extreme. You all have been reporting on it.
Oh, yeah.
I would say to all of your viewers and American businesses out there, watch the trajectory of the ball versus where it's bouncing. And I think the trajectory is higher tariffs all around, tougher to do business with the Chinese in China, probably retaliation against individual U.S. companies. But I would imagine not total decoupling.
Sounds good, Anja Manuel. Thank you so much. And that's